As people, as onlookers, as athletes, we strive for one thing: victory. We breathe it, smell it, taste it, and when our team has it, we rejoice in it. Your heart wants to beat out of its chest, but in that whirlwind of sense and motion, we grasp the very essence that is sports. For that one moment, for that one play, we are all one, tied to a field, or a court, or a rink. What goes through the mind when two teams meet on that most hallowed ground? What brings a man or a woman to struggle to be the best? Victory. That brings us here, to this field, where today we discuss, analyze, and debate sports, and declare our own victory or defeat. One winner, one loser. This is the playing field.
Good evening, everyone. You're watching The Playing Field along with Matt Stone and Dan I. I'm your host, Alicia D'Addario. On today's show, a blockbuster trade went down in the NHL. Major League Baseball is talking major change, and is Tiger Woods back? The guys will debate this and more. So, gentlemen, are you ready?
I suppose so.
I think we could do a little TV show right now.
All right, well, here we go. After the shock and emotion set in of having to leave Buffalo, goalie Ryan Miller and center Steve Ott started looking forward to dealing with the high expectations they will face in St. Louis. Miller and Ott were traded from the NHL's worst team, the Sabres, to a Stanley Cup contending team, the St. Louis Blues, who lead the Central Division. The 5-player, 2-draft pick deal took place Friday night. Miller took the podium and delivered an emotional speech in a news conference during the first intermission of the Sabres' 4-2 victory over San Jose. This trade came as a shock to all and is one of the biggest deals this year in the NHL. What does losing Miller and Ott do to the city of Buffalo, and how can Buffalo recuperate? Dan, I know you're a Buffalo fan, so.
What's going on?
It's a difficult, emotional move. I think that's the big deal, is that even in the press conference, Ryan Miller was an emotional person, an emotional character, and he has emotional ties to this city. He's been through the ups, he's been through the downs, he's been through 2 lockouts with this team. It's going to be very difficult to move on to life without him, because for anybody in the generation from teenagers to 30 years old, the past 12 seasons have been Ryan Miller.
Yeah, but to me, obviously you lose Ryan Miller, who's been the face of this franchise. But let's be realistic, winning cures all. If the Sabres are an NHL contender in the next 3 to 5 years, no one's going to give 2 cents about Ryan Miller and what he did for a couple of years in Buffalo. Now, that being said, we'll see who ends up winning this deal. However, yeah, this hurts Buffalo in the short term. But look at the Knicks with Carmelo Anthony. You can win with him, and you can win without him. Or not win with him, you can lose with him, and you can lose without him. At least you get some picks here. You start rebuilding for the future.
Yeah, but they've been going through this rebuilding process for the entire season. That was the whole reason Thomas Vanek left in the first place. Let's not forget about Steve Ott here. This is the second captain that this team has traded this season.
But they're not going anywhere, Dan.
I mean, if you look at a 3-game win streak, they're putting.
Oh, give me a 3-game win streak.
First one of the season. They're starting to put pieces together, and they have the talent.
You're not
My
making
issue
the
is they have
playoffs.
second-line guys playing first line, third line guys playing second line. You need star power, and trading away for draft picks, it's not going to build it up. And in 5 years, if this team continues this cycle, they will be in the same place they are right now.
At least you give yourself a shot to get draft picks. Now, all of a sudden,
how many draft picks work out in the NHL? You talk about guys who
That's
stay in
fair.
the juniors and end up cycling through the AHL. I mean, it's difficult, and I don't think that the draft is the way. You acquire through free agency.
yeah, but right now, at least you can acquire through free agency, but you can acquire through the draft as well. You get picks now. Listen, with this roster currently assembled, they weren't winning. They obviously were not good enough to even make the playoffs. So you trade these guys, you get picks. What, are you going to just let them ride out their contract and then they're going to leave Buffalo as soon as free agency ends? Then you're just really hurting yourself. At least you're giving yourself some sort of life, some sort of opportunity to go out and get someone else.
I'm not saying it's a bad move. It's a brilliant move for Tim Murray as GM, but in his first move as GM, this is a big one. But I don't. It hurts
You're not happy
emotionally.
as a Buffalo fan.
As an emotional Buffalo Sabres fan, it hurts. As a businessman in the hockey world, it makes a lot of sense. So I have to say that it was a good move.
I think the move itself, roster-wise, is smart because when Miller and Ott's contract run out, they're leaving. They're not going to re-sign with the Buffalo Sabres. They want to go play in a bigger market where they can make more money, no?
At this point, you got to chase a championship, and that's
Beat
what
him on the hockey argument. Whoa, what's going on?
know.
If you look at the business side of it entirely, but you saw Ryan, the guy was tearing up, his teammates tearing up in post-game press conferences. This guy means a lot to the city.
And that's
you
why.
know what? There's a lot of Buffalo Sabres fans that are not cheering for the St. Louis Blues, hoping they win a cup, because if anything, you want to see this guy win a cup because you know our team currently can.
100% they'll be rooting for St. Louis to win it. However, if you could tell Buffalo fans right now that St. Louis will get bounced in the first round and your team will make the playoffs next year, you know what they're taking.
Right. So you guys took it from the Buffalo standpoint. You guys mentioned just St. Louis right now. So what did these two guys bring to the team right now this season?
Oof.
They're in a position to win, and you know what? Yaroslav Halak had similar numbers to Ryan Miller with an outstanding defense in front of him. Ryan Miller had nobody in front of him, and he still put up similar numbers. Halak led the league, or has 4 shutouts on the season already, I believe. He's playing outstanding, and they have a solid defense. Miller bumps them even further. This team is now a cup contender.
Yeah, I think this team just went to a legitimate playoff threat to now maybe having a chance to win the whole thing. I think the Blues are going to be a team to watch out for come NHL playoff time.
All right. Well, as Matt mentioned, we'll keep an eye on how the Sabres do without Miller and Ott and what they bring to St. Louis. But we're going to move on to the baseball diamond. Major League Baseball decided that rather than banning home plate collisions altogether, they have adopted a rule limiting them. The rule states that a runner attempting to score may not deviate from his direct pathway to the plate in order to initiate contact with the catcher or any other player covering home plate. If this rule is violated, the runner is declared out even if the ball is dropped. There are 2 comments for this rule that cover umpires' interpretations of this situation, one that describes the nature of the runner and the other that discusses the catcher's role. So are you guys in favor of MLB one-year experiment of limiting home plate collisions?
I don't think this is a one-year experiment. I think the MLB, much like the NFL, is trying to get safer. They're trying to limit the number of injuries, and that's why this rule is being enacted. Now, I think catchers who are probably, you see them become managers, they're usually the smartest guys on the field. They can become very, very slick and be able to maneuver their body where they'll know they'll be contacted by the incoming third base runner, and that base runner will then be called out. So this is very good. This is going to be very interesting. Plus, come playoff time, when there's, when the stakes are highest, there's no replay for this. This is purely umpire judgment. Now, not sure the whole interpretation rule, but they could go back and look at it. I just think it's purely umpire on the call. That's the call, and it's going to be really tough to deviate sometimes.
This is an awful, awful decision by the MLB. You know what? You talk about player safety. At that point, set a precedent. Calling a runner out, fine, you initiate contact, but how many times is this going to determine the outcome of a game?
Plenty.
Because you have a bang-bang play. It's hard enough for umpires to call balls and strikes, for goodness sake now. How on earth are they going to call a bang-bang play at the plate where the catcher gets the ball, turns, a guy's diving head first for the plate? Is he out, or was the catcher not in possession of the ball? What do you do there? I think too many times this leaves it to an unmanageable situation, and it's way too much pressure on an umpire. I mean, we've already seen the umpire staffs have issues as is into the last World Series with obstruction on the base paths. Now you're talking about you're taking those base runners, and they have to avoid contact with the catcher if he's there. I'm sorry, if you're running straight at home plate and the catcher has the ball, knock the ball out. That's the only way. What are you going to do? Turn back and run back to third base? Give yourself up? Because if he drops the ball, you're safe. That's a run. And you know what? When runs are at a premium, that makes a difference.
We're trying to keep guys safe here.
You talk about keeping guys safe. Look at the catchers that are managers. You made the point. These guys become managers.
Right.
They're not in favor of this.
No.
These are owners and GMs that are making this rule. The catchers themselves don't want this because you know what? It might hurt them even more because they will be positioning themselves in ways and reteaching themselves how to catch.
It's changing the game, much like how now we see much more defensive pass interference calls in the NFL. But you know what? People like that because the scores are higher. With this,
Come on, you're telling me that if the Jets get called for a defensive pass interference on a jump ball and it's a absolutely blown call, you're telling me you're not going to enjoy that? If this call gets blown anywhere in the first 3 weeks of the season, it will be gone by mid-season.
No,
It'll
no
be gone.
chance.
It'll be
No
gone.
chance.
There's no way you can
This is
continue
a
to do this.
safety issue. This isn't a purely baseball
If you're going to
issue.
make it a safety issue, make it a reviewable play because you know what? Take it out altogether. Any
will
collision,
it
no
actually
contact.
limit the injuries? Is that what you're
I
saying?
think
Like,
so.
You think
Look
it
how
will?
many home plate collisions we have almost every year. You always see a guy who goes out for the season with a torn knee or something like that. That's going to completely eliminate this. Now, on the diamond, I think this could get very tricky in terms of plays at the plate. Who's out, who's safe, if the runner initiates the contact, if the catcher initiates it as well. But let's get facts straight. Less guys are going to get injured at home now.
Yeah, but now you're dealing with the home plate umpire with enough on his plate already. Now has to deal with this on top of it because there's no one that's going to be able to back him up. This isn't a fair or foul call
No.
where you can confer with each other. This is, you're going to have other umpires watching their guys because there are going to be plenty of people moving around the base paths.
Right.
What if all of a sudden you have a play where you're making the play to first, then you have to gun to home? You've got umpires out of position. I think this is too difficult of a task for the umpires to do.
Choose your poison. Do you want, the umpires to have a little bit more responsibility or keep your players safe? Come on, you know what Bud Selig and the MLB is going to choose every time. You know what? These guys are trained professionals.
Why
Do
not let
your
the
job.
players and the managers make the decision instead of the GMs who never step foot on the field in their life?
Plenty of GMs and plenty of coaches were former catchers.
Right, and these coaches and bench managers, they don't want this
No,
rule.
agreed. The catchers want, if the catchers are saying, if I want to get in front of a guy and let him barrel me over,
Then why is the
I can
MLB
do
stepping
it.
in? These guys know what they're doing. It's the same as the
But
NFL.
they-
You know what you're getting
Much
into.
right, they do. But
Why
much like
let them police you?
Because did we
People
not
talk
just,
about
did
the
we not
NFL
just have
getting
a s-
soft. Is baseball a sport never considered to be the toughest?
Did we not just
Now
have a
baseball
$600 billion
is soft.
head trauma case?
Right,
with
and
the
that's the
NFL?
past 40 years of history. If you're arguing
Right.
that they have to be even safer now, you're talking about
Right,
they
so now
failed
40
to do
years
their
from
job
now,
in the past.
40 years from now, we're trying to have no injuries at all. We want. the
There's
game
no
to
way.
be-
That's absolutely impossible.
And this is.
I played
of
Pee Wee
course, of
soccer
course.
and I broke my patella.
Of
You're telling me
course.
that we're
You're
going to
a
try
little
to take
softer
that
than
out
most
of
of the guys on the
You're
field.
you're
however.
telling me we're going to take injuries out of sports
No,
entirely. It
however,
doesn't happen.
Let's put it this way: if Mike Trout's coming home at a play at the plate, this guy's gonna be the face of the MLB for the next 20 years. You don't want him barreling into a catcher.
Yeah, you do because you know
No,
what?
you
It makes good
don't.
TV, and when
Oh.
MLB is already struggling, you need to keep the interest in it. And when they're barely scoring
The
runs and
MLB
strikeouts are
playoffs
at an
do
all-time
very well
high,
from a rankings from a rating standpoint.
awful decision. Awful.
All right,
rule.
well, we will definitely have to see how the MLB works out with that. But coming up after the break, we'll get the guys' take on the use of the N-word in the NFL and can it be regulated. Also, Batman, a.k.a. LeBron James, is forced to hand in his black mask for a clear one. Stay tuned. You're watching The Playing Field.
You can't police it like that.
Why?
There's no way you can police it like that. You can't make this little half-dandy rule about it.
It's not a half-dandy rule.
It
There's
is,
regulations
because
right
there's
there.
this stipulation, that stipulation.
Rob, what's up? How's it
How's
going?
it going?
Guys, this is my cousin Rob from Michigan.
What's up?
He's a teenager.
Hey, what's totally. All right. Oh, hey, you want to slow down?
No.
Really? Huh. Hey, You know what a beautiful animal is? A horse. A horse. Yeah. Beautiful mane, unbelievable muscle tone. When it runs, it looks like poetry in motion. It's the most beautiful thing on earth. And sometimes when you feed a horse, its lips will tickle your hand. Just tickle it just a little bit. It makes me giggle sometimes. I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you don't slow down, I'm gonna bite into your head like an apple. And thanks, guys, for listening to my horse stories. I could talk about ponies all day long.
Have you seen my dog?
No, I can't say that I have.
Okay, well, if you see him, he responds to the name Dr. Flopsy Tops.
Alrighty then. Hey, were you the girl who was doing that speech about all the evil and stuff?
Hey guys, you should watch our show on WITUP.
What? You mean WTOP?
No, it's WITUP.
No, it's WTOP.
Who told you that?
Common sense?
Every year, mothers lose their babies to gun crimes. You'll always be your mother's baby. So before you commit a gun crime, think about who you'll leave behind. Gun crimes hit home.
Hey, Sarah.
Oh my gosh, he's so cute. How do you know him?
Come on, Donovan, do it like I taught you. Love the new tattoo, Sarah. Let's go!
Dude, what? Dude, that's Sarah. The girl in the pink shirt. That's the girl I was telling you about.
Oh, that's Sarah?
Theater 2 on your left. Hey, Sarah. What color underwear today?
Hey, Sarah. So when are you going to post something new?
Anything you post online, anyone can see. Family, friends.
See you later, Sarah.
Even not so friendly people. Think before you post.
Welcome back to The Playing Field. I'm your host, Alicia Dario. Recent talks in the NFL are that the competition committee is considering a rule that would penalize players for using the N-word on the football field. The head of the Fritz Pollard Alliance, which monitors diversity in the NFL, said he expects the league to give a 15-yard penalty to anyone who uses the N-word. ESPN's Outside the Lines examined the use of the word across generations and the black and white cultures. The recent controversy going on in Miami is a prime example. The scandal, which came in light in November, fueled months of debate over locker room etiquette and language and whether the N-word is an acceptable term of endearment among teammates within the culture of football. Steelers safety Ryan Clark thinks it will be tough to legislate the rule and difficult to find a way to penalize everyone who breaks it. So guys, is this a legitimate penalty, and how hard will it be for the refs to enforce it, or as Ryan Clark said, police the use of the N-word?
Well, it's going to be difficult, and while it is a worthy suggestion for the league, and I think that it should never be taken lightly, I think that it cannot work effectively without this opening the floodgates for all talk in the NFL until there's no smack talk whatsoever. I think at this point, it would make sense to ban the N-word. If you stretch past that, then you're going into what other offensive language is used on the field until all of a sudden, and now, should it ever be used? No. But I feel like in this environment it is going to be used, and there's no way to police that in a 15-yard penalty won't help the situation because you know what? Then you can turn to other offensive language, and then you have your next group that's going to be petitioning for this, and it's going to turn into a cycle until players are running around yelling "gosh darn it" at each other, and it won't work. It just won't.
Yeah, this is a very, very delicate topic. Let's clear the air on some things. The NFL is comprised of players only about 80% African American is the majority. So it's very tough. And Ryan Clark makes a great point. You know, who knows? It's so tough. There are plenty of times that people don't understand what someone's saying. Some people talking different languages with different terms. You know, what's bad now? If you're going to make a rule change, you have to say this specific word is not allowed to be said. Period. But you know what? I mean, let's put things into perspective. Excuse me. If you have the Seahawks and 49ers fighting to go to the Super Bowl in the third quarter, what's the official going to say? 15-yard penalty on sportsmanlike misconduct. You know, what's going to be the explanation? And then the penalties are a huge part of the game.
And then it turns into finger pointing. This guy said this. Right. It's a he said this. He said that.
Huge part of the game.
You end up running into these conversations where there's going to be finger pointing, and there's not enough officials on the field to manage this. And is this limited to on the field? Is this on the benches? If one of the side judges hears it behind him on the bench, can he throw a flag for somebody on the bench saying it, a coach saying it? I mean, you run into so many issues of if you limit it to just the field, well then what makes it any different than over closer to the fans even?
And reading and watching from various sources, they all think people who are in and have been in the league that there's going to be no way to police this term. And you know what? So the people who are against this will say, what gives the NFL the right to do this? You know, if this is our league, this is what we want to say, this is how we want to talk, so how we want to act, we're going to do it.
Yeah, right. And to not compare it, it's the same as the MLB rule, is that the players are the ones that ultimately are the ones that have to follow these rules. It should be their say, regardless of language or rule interpretations in the league.
It's going to be tough.
All right, well, we have a little while until we see this rule put into action, but in the meantime, let's talk about a different kind of regulation. After breaking his nose last week in a game against the Oklahoma City Thunder, LeBron James was ready to get back on the court, with protection, of course. Some controversy concerning James's black face mask after it made its debut Thursday against the Knicks came to light across the league. LeBron compared himself to Batman, while others made a more negative comparison, which caused NBA's new commissioner to step in and request James wear a clear mask. LeBron was set to appeal the NBA's decision, but eventually complied and agreed to ditch the black mask. LeBron said he made a statement, but what is your guys' opinion? Can the NBA regulate this kind of stuff? What was their problem with it?
I love this look for LeBron. I mean, he was the villain for most of his first coming years with the decision and all that. And then he went to the nice guy, and everyone loved him, and he won a couple of rings. But you know what? LeBron equals Batman, and this is a great term, he is the Batman on this Miami Heat team. Dwayne Wade is Robin, and LeBron is Batman. LeBron is the king. He's the best player in the league. And man, that look was intimidating. And what did he do with it? I don't know. Go ahead and drop 37 on the Knicks? Why is the NBA getting rid of this? Because he looks too scary? Little kids are going to be scared of it? It wasn't how the mask was made was within the rules. There was nothing wrong with how it was created. Adam Silver, I know you're new to the league, but come on, buddy. Let him wear the mask.
This has turned into even further a message of image control, trying to keep the players in line. And you know what? I don't see why you couldn't have a clear mask in the first place. What makes the difference? What does it matter? I mean, the only thing that would make a difference is it takes away your facial expression. All you see is the eyes. I mean, that's all you need to see. You see if he's looking right, looking left. But I do think it adds an image of, first of all, I have an issue with the mask in the first place.
Why?
You break your nose, you go play. I've broken my nose. You know what they do? They re-break it to reset it. You know what?
Oh, give me a break.
I'm sorry. If you have that much of an issue with a broken nose, don't play.
Yeah, this is the most prized possession of the league. It's just for protection.
So if you get bumped, it's that big of a deal?
There's no protection at all.
I don't like it in the first place that you have to wear a mask. but I really don't see the point as to why you would have
This
to have a
comes
black
from the
man.
kid who,
A
when he
clear
trips in a
mask
soccer
doesn't
game,
really
is
matter.
crying and asking for his mother.
All right, well, it's time for our 2-minute drill, and we start with the NBA. They discussed having a 4-point line. Yay or nay?
I think it would be awesome within the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter to have this, because if you make it 28, 29, 30 feet, Jamal Crawford would just take over this league. But come on, could you imagine down by 4 with a minute and a half left and teams are trying to hit from half court? That'd be fun.
I'm guessing
That'd be
Dan's
some
not into
drama.
it as you
What
are.
sense does this make?
It's fun.
You play
It's
the
all
game.
about
Why would
entertainment,
you
right?
make there a 4-point line? And you know what? If it is for the sake of entertainment.
You know, like NBA Jam, he's on fire and you get the little 4-point.
Yay, ooh,
fire
whatever.
thing?
Steph Curry, Jimmer Fredette would have all of a sudden be relevant again because he's the only one that could probably hit
It
from
would
that
increase
deep.
scoring, it would
It's a
increase drama.
stupid idea. There's no need. If you want to get a 4-point
no
play,
fine.
get fouled while taking the 3 and make it.
All right, should the MLB opening day be a national holiday?
Your guy,
Ozzie Smith.
Ozzie Smith,
Yeah.
said that
Wizard
it
of Oz.
should. Now listen, there's a couple of more things that I have listed that should be in front of MLB Open Day. The first 2 days of March Madness. And
Which
the
you've
Daytona-
already requested
Which
off
I've
of
already
work for.
requested off of work for. And I would even take the Daytona 500. It's more widespread, it's more known. Listen,
Well,
maybe-
the reasoning,
I'll watch
the
an
reasoning
April
behind this is
baseball
you go,
game.
if baseball really is the national pastime, and this is really what you want the national pastime to be, it would make sense that one day in April, it's the first day of the national pastime, and if it's going
No
to
one
stay
cares
in the
about
national
April
pastime,
1st baseball.
it's fun. It's the
It's
whole
not fun.
atmosphere of baseball is back. It's like opening day of
Yeah.
any sport. You
In
know what?
wet, rainy conditions.
It makes sense, but I don't know. I like it. I like the
So
idea.
the Cardinals said it.
All right, well, we'll see if it happens. But after the break, Tiger Woods shows signs of hope, but was it enough to win? Also, the argument of court storming escalated to another level after a chaotic brawl this past weekend. You don't want to miss this debate. We'll be right back. You're watching The Playing Field.
There's a lot of talk out on the street about his mother. His mother. Your mother. Their mother. But in the end, is anyone really even thinking about them?
I'm lucky. Let me help you with that. I get to do something I love. It has nothing to do with touchdowns or titles. Everybody bring it in. I get to play a part in the life of someone just starting out. How many of you think homework is just as important as teamwork? I help keep kids in school. Good. And that's the name of the game. My name is LaDainian Thomason. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer. Live United.
It's easy to tell if you've had way too many. But what if you've had just one too many? Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Last night, Lorai Capracuzzi scored 2 goals on Alya Brian Love. And he...
Joe, get out. Adam, you're in.
Lori Korpakovsky scored 2 goals on Ilya Brizgalov.
got it.
Wake the sun, tell him that I've begun to dream of things to come, and tell the trees not to look for me. I'm going to find some peace of mind. Wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun.
Welcome back to the playing field, and we have more sports topics for the guys to debate, so let's move on to some pro golf. And we all know who the focus is on. The 2014 season certainly hasn't been Tiger Woods' year thus far, but he enters the Honda Classic in Palm Beach Gardens with an opportunity to turn things around. Woods missed the cut at the Farmers Insurance Open with an awful over 6 par performance, but was comforted by the familiar surroundings at the Honda Classic. Woods shot his best score Saturday, a 5-under par 65, when he finished at 11 a.m. Tiger Woods had climbed nearly 30 spots to the 9th place and only trailed Rory McIlroy by 6 strokes. The Honda Classic resumes Sunday, and we just found out a little while ago that Tiger Woods, he withdrew with a bad back. So, question, he didn't seem to have a bad back Saturday, so what's your take on Tiger Woods' performance?
I'm like, Tiger, I got a bad back right
This
now.
is a joke. If you are Tiger Woods, he just took 6 weeks to focus on performance and endurance and getting himself ready to go, to all of a sudden have the same issue he suffered through all of 2013. Last year, he fell to the ground after an approach shot because his back was spasming so bad. And now, all of a sudden, 6 weeks later, he was fine through the first 3 rounds. Well, he wasn't fine through the first round. He had a really rough first day. Yesterday, a great round, and let's be honest, he wasn't going to come back and win. I mean, he was 7 strokes back of Rory. Rory was playing exceptionally all weekend. There was no way he was going to come back. But if you are going to tell me that you are #1 in the world, you cannot have this sort of thing, and you cannot keep people guessing. Play golf. Don't take weeks off. Play golf, because that's the only thing that's going to make you better at golf. Play the course backwards for all I care. Play with a blindfold on. Play it from back to the tee box. Something. This just, I can't. I can't with Tiger Woods.
I need to take a deep breath.
It's okay,
Daniel,
Matt,
Steve,
take
and
your
I.
time.
That got your attention.
Yeah.
How dare you disrespect the greatest golfer of all time? Maybe next to Jack Nicklaus. However, this guy.
Thank you for covering yourself there.
That guy has. This guy has won major after major throughout his career. He's going to go down as either the first or second greatest golfer ever. Would you say something bad about Larry Bird or
Historically
Magic
speaking,
Johnson?
if you talk about him right now.
I don't care about right now. He's one of the best of all time.
You
He
said
has
it just a minute
immunity.
ago. Michael Jordan, greatest of all time.
Yeah.
When he was on the Washington Wizards, did you care about him?
No.
Then why do we care about Tiger Woods right
You're
now? Because you know what? His career is irrelevant at this point. #1 in the world, not playing like it. Since his incident back 3 years ago, Tiger Woods is not Tiger Woods. And you know what? I'm embarrassed for him because he has not played to a level that he would find acceptable.
It's okay,
You okay?
It's okay.
Dan, fine. That being said, are you disrespecting his all-time legacy?
No, he was an incredible golfer. Was an incredible golfer.
All-time right now, where's Tiger Woods in all-time golf?
Tiger Woods is #2 of all time, but you know what? If he
Who's
keeps
number
playing like
one?
this,
Jack
Jack
Nicklaus.
Nicklaus is
Okay. Which is
hands
fair.
down.
That's fine. He's
Retire. At this point, if you're going to continue to play like this and have physical issues that are inhibiting you from finishing 4 rounds of golf, retire. Hang it up. Hang up the cleats.
After shooting the best round out of anyone before he was injured. Obviously, the guy can still do it.
He can still do it, but it takes him 2 rounds to warm up now.
And come on, who has the biggest crowds following them at every PGA Tour? And it's not even close. Maybe him and Phil, because people love Phil. But it is
Gotta love
Tiger
Lefty.
by a landslide. How dare you disrespect one of the greatest ever to do it? How dare you?
All right, we
Shame
gotta
on
move
you.
on,
I have a
guys.
dunce cap for you after this.
March hadn't quite begun
Unbelievable.
when madness occurred in college hoops. The Western Athletic Conference has suspended a couple players, and I want to get your guys' opinion on court storming. Last time we talked about how Duke UNC storming the court because it's a rivalry, and that was, more acceptable. But this time there's a fight and there's fan safety involved. So do they belong on the court celebrating with their fans or with their
Oklahoma
teammates?
State did it last night after beating Kansas. We'll see it right here.
How can you regulate it when, fans are getting punched in the face?
Well, listen, obviously that Utah State or Utah Valley, North Mexico State was bad. But look how quickly the fans here at Oklahoma State get on the court. Now, this is what I like. They had the armada of Yellow Jackets just stopping it. The thing where it gets dicey is when we have situations like Indiana and Kentucky 2 years ago where Christian Watford hits a shot at the buzzer and boom, it's just insanity right there. Oklahoma State had that game by 4-6. You knew it was coming, so they were a little bit more prepared.
It comes down to security, and I don't think you can take court storming out of basketball, but you put that into the hands of the security of the school.
But should it come down to that?
It should. I think if you're going, there has to be a barrier between players and fans, especially opposing players and fans. Now, if your team wins and you're the victors, you get to celebrate with your fans. That's up to your discretion because you're in no harm. You're not in harm's way. On the other side of it, there should be security guards and coaches there. That's why you have staff there to escort the other team safely off the court. That's why security's there in the first place, is to keep it a safe environment.
Yeah, but there are times where fans of the away team are going on the court and they might not be happy with the home team. Well, let's look at it this way. Are fans playing? No, we invest ourselves so much. What right do they have to go on the court? Would this happen in the NBA? Would this happen in the MLB?
No, because these are your brothers. Like, these are, you understand that they are, you sit in class, you sit next to these kids.
Hockey. I know you're going on the ice.
You got to jump over glass to get there.
We've seen it in Oswego once or twice.
Yeah, well, what are you going to do about that? But you look at these, I don't think there's any way to take it out of the game. You got to keep going with it, and it puts the fun into it, the ability, your team pulls off this unbelievable moment, and it's capped by the visual of the strength of your school all storming to the court at once, and now you see North Carolina Duke. I supported that one too because of the height of the rivalry. Now, if North Carolina, all of a sudden, if Duke beats North Carolina this week, both teams are ranked, both teams are right up there in the top of ACC. Now I don't think it's acceptable. And even now, if the game were to be replayed this week at Chapel Hill, it's not acceptable. In the time and place, an unranked opponent against a ranked rival, it's exciting. I think you go with it.
No, don't get me started on last week. We said it before. There are plenty of programs: North Carolina, Duke, UCLA, Indiana, Louisville, Georgetown. UCLA in the 70s was one of the biggest.
Great, in the 70s. What have they done?
They're a blue blood program, though. Kentucky. These are programs that have plenty of history. You should not be storming the court. You're above that. You're a national championship winner, not a regular season winner.
Be that as it may.
Oklahoma
you can't
State's
take it out of the game.
NCAA tournament team, and they're storming the court against a Kansas team that obviously was going to struggle on the road.
Was going to be a number 1 seed going into
They still are projected as a number 1 seed.
Because
Syracuse,
the Orange
not so much.
on 1 and 3.
Yeah, we all know how that story ends. But unfortunately, we have to take a break. But when we come back, I'll be talking to our special guest, Larry Bergen. And he will be talking about Oswego hockey. So we're watching The Playing Field. You'll be right back.
Bro, yeah? You know your charger's still using energy when it's plugged into the wall, right?
Yeah, but that's not my charger. I don't even have a cell phone.
Millions of kids are using their energy wisely. What's your excuse?
So what sets the rundown apart from other newscasts is that it brings students together to voice their opinions on the world's most important political issues.
There seems to be just more events going on in 2012 than there were in previous years combined.
This nation is based on the foundation that we choose the government.
Do we use 1, 2, and 3? We work hard to bring you the most up-to-date, relevant coverage of the stories you should be following.
The country has now gone over the fiscal cliff.
Is gun control necessary? How much is too much?
Does it surprise you that it's taken this long to have a serious talk about gun control?
Students need to realize that this is the time when what's going on in Capitol Hill and around the world starts to affect them.
And really, the fate of the entire country is at hand here.
This is it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go camera 2.
Good evening and welcome to The Rundown. I'm Megan Roberts.
This can't be happening.
This can't be happening. Of course it's not happening. Armored car. Listen, having money isn't about luck. Make your own coffee, save $1,000 a year. Feed me. Feed the pig.
DOP.
I present to you Algebra 2. Foreign languages. And finally, biology. Who among you will step up to their challenge?
Me.
Yeah, I'll do it. Me too. Sign me up.
Take on the tough classes now. You need them to prepare for college.
Welcome back to the playing field. I'm here with Larry Bergen, and we're talking all things Laker hockey. So how are you doing today, Larry?
I am doing wonderful. Oswego State Lakers men's and women's ice hockey team move on to the semifinals of their respected playoff tournaments. It's been a great weekend for Oswego State so far.
They definitely kicked some butt this weekend.
Yeah,
We're gonna start off with the women's ice hockey team, and what was their success to their 3-1 win over Buff State?
Well, there was a lot of success considering that they won 3-1, but they shouldn't really be proud of the 3-1 victory over Buff State. Okay. Buff State is a team that's 3-20-2. That really shows how weak the ECAC West is this year. They were sort of a punching bag going into this tournament. Now, Oswego State on paper should have won this game at least 5-0. They gave up 1-0 lead to Oswego early in the game, and Oswego finally came back in the third period, winning 3-1 from Seamont, Smetaniuk, and Maddie Paul. 2 goals in 20 seconds. Oswego showed up a little late to the tournament in that game, but if they want to beat teams like Elmira or Plattsburgh going into this tournament, they got to play a full 60 minutes.
Okay, so what do you think their struggle was in the first 2 periods? Like, why did they had to come back and score 3 in the last period?
There was no offensive movement, no offensive production whatsoever. They depended on way too much of their first line in Seamont, Smetaniuk, and Borison. There was no passing. There was no communication. And I think the fact of Bridget Smith not being in net, who was red hot going into this tournament, and Tori Travato starting in net for this game, it was a little bit of a confidence mix-up. But it was just a complete lack of production on offense. They are known for being very fast, especially with Melissa Seamont. She crashes the net and is able to put the puck in the net. They weren't doing anything throughout that whole game. Buffalo State, they went into Buffalo State toying with them a little bit, which is something you can't do in the playoffs.
Okay, so number 2 Elmira is who they face next Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So what do the Lakers have to do? I know you talked a little bit about it, but Elmira, give us a little background on them and just kind of how the Lakers can advance.
Well, they're one of the most dominant teams offensively, more dominant than Oswego. And Ashley Ryan, who is dominated in the ECAC West with 41 points so far in the season, 14 goals, 27 assists. If they can find a way to shut her down defensively in Jocelyn St. Clair and Chelsea Hunt, there could be some hope for this Oswego team. But if you want to win this game, if you're Oswego, keep Bridget Smith in net. She's the heckler on this team, the unsung hero and the untitled captain, and she gives her ladies a confidence boost. She's not a senior, so you're going to see her again next year. Okay. So let her redeem herself in this playoffs, because last year she got embarrassed by Newman.
Okay, well, we'll definitely keep an eye on that game, but let's move on to the men's. They beat Fredonia 3-2 here in the Campus Center on Wednesday. Give us a little background on that game and how were the Oz Lakers able to advance.
Oswego came into that game with some fire in the Campus Ice Center because Fredonia came into the home opener this year, beating Oswego in overtime 3-2. Now that's something that hasn't been done since the 08 and 09 season, so Oswego was playing with a little bit of fire. They went to Fredonia later this season and they won in Fredonia 5-1. So this is the tail of the tape revenge sort of thing for both sides of the picture. Now Oswego and Fredonia, that similar result from the home opener game contributed to Wednesday night. Oswego won 3-2, and it was a bloodbath going back and forth. Both these teams were very evenly matched going in. This is what SUNYAC Conference is all about. Doesn't matter if you're Plattsburgh or Potsdam being all the way down in the SUNYAC Conference, you're going to get a fight. Fredonia was the 6th team going into this game, and they played like a number one and a number 2 seed. And Oswego was able to bury it in with Matt Galati's power play goal in the 3rd period.
All right, well, we want to thank Larry because that was some great insight on some Laker hockey. But we're going to send it over to Dan and Matt in the office because Dan was actually at the Plattsburgh game. What do you guys got?
All right, thanks, Alicia. And Larry and Matt, they started talking about it. This hockey team for Oswego, last night I had made the road trip all the way up to Plattsburgh. I'm still a little bit tired of it, feeling jet lag from a car trip if that's possible. But you look at this team, and against Fredonia, didn't necessarily look their strongest. 3-2, obviously the result is the same. You get the win, but they tend to play up and play down, which they did against Plattsburgh last night. Going into this next game against Geneseo, they lost twice to them. What did they do?
Well, they have a hot goaltender right now, Matt Zawadzki. Anytime you save 84 of 87 shots against a team that was number 1 in the country at one point, you know that you have found your goaltender not only for the rest of the SUNYAC playoffs and possibly NCAA tournament, but for the next couple of years too. Zawadzki's been great, and they're going to have to ride him as much as they can to beat Geneseo. And you brought up the point before we went on. It's very tough to beat a team two and then 3 times. To win 3 games in a row against one team, they know each other very well. Geneseo does not kind of have the home ice advantage that Oswego and Plattsburgh do. So although I think Geneseo will win this upcoming game, I do think the Lakers have more than a fighting chance because they have the momentum right now.
And like you said, Matt, back in November, Geneseo did beat Oswego 7-4. Then they came into this building here in the Campus Center a month ago and won 3-2. And, Oswego dropped the next game to Brockport as well. It was a weird weekend for them. But since then, they've been rolling, and now they beat their biggest rival, Plattsburgh, twice in 8 days. And I talked to Coach Gosick last night, and I asked him about this team. We said they were young, and that would maybe be their downfall at the start of the season. Now it's playing into their help. I mean, he said that they don't know any better. They're playing, giving everything they've got, 60 minutes every game. And you know what? The people that really love this, Kyle Badham and David Titanic, because they as seniors keep getting more time to play. And you know what? It's all about getting back to that tournament and playing for the Frozen Four. This team's starting to look like a team of old, and the guys from last year's squad were even talking about it. They're getting close.
Yeah, and also awkward mic transition, but that's okay. How about the fact that I think this Laker team probably had as much talent as any of the teams in the SUNYAC. Now, granted, they were young, and there's a couple other teams like a Plattsburgh, like a Geneseo, who are older and who have been here before. But you know what? Now these guys aren't freshmen anymore. We're at the point of the season where they're sophomores. They're getting into their next season. They've played plenty of close, tough games. The Fredonia game at home was a gut check test for them. And obviously the 2 wins against Plattsburgh. Let's see if this team can pull it off. Because if they go to Geneseo and get spanked 4-1, the Plattsburgh game means nothing. I'm sorry. I know you might say it's a learning experience for the future, but you know what? This is a win now. They have a chance to win the whole thing. I mean, I think you're remiss if you don't say this team has a competitive edge, a competitive shot to go ahead, make the NCAA tournament, and make a run, because once you got to win 3 games. It's not like the NCAA tournament in college basketball where you got to, win 6-7 games. You slowly start to get to slowly start to get closer and closer. Plus, you have Matt Zawadzki, who's playing out of his mind right now. I mean, 84 saves on 87 shots from Plattsburgh. That's unheard of.
Yeah, and Zawadzki now 2-0-1 against the Cardinals. These guys come in as freshmen. They don't realize how big this rivalry game is. They haven't been there. But you have that senior leadership, and I think that that's their biggest advantage is they have the guys that are the juniors and seniors, the 8-9 guys on the roster that are bringing them along for the ride, and they're coaching them up. And these guys are willing to put it all on the line for each other. I think they've finally started to become a team. I think that that's the aspect that has changed so much from before, and I think that that's what they are doing differently. And I think they have a legitimate shot to beat Geneseo. It's difficult to beat any team twice, let alone 3 times in a season. Like you said, they can do it. This team has shocked Plattsburgh twice in 8 days. You held on against Fredonia. You're going on the road again. If Matt Zawadzki plays the way he did last night, he will be perfectly fine, and this Lakers squad will be SUNYAC champions for back-to-back years, which absolutely blows my mind considering where they were at the start of this year.
So, final thought coming to you. You're going to make that road trip. What's your expectations? Because I like Geneseo to win this one.
I think they're going to do it. I think that this is potentially the most talented team that Oswego's ever seen, and they're just freshmen. They've got 3 more years ahead of them, so I think that this is their chance to do it. But we will certainly see next week, March 8th. All right, we're going to take another break here on the playing field. We'll be back with Alicia. We're just getting warmed up, ready for the final finish here. Stay with us. You're watching the playing field.
Dispose of your trash properly. To learn what you can do, go to keepoceansclean.org.
No, I know it's Thursday, but who cares? No. Believe me. I know, believe me. I have 100 people going around, man. No. All right, bye. What is this? What is this? There's no one here. There's no one here. Where is everybody? Hello? Is anybody home? Nice house party tonight. Jesus, what the hell is this? Where can everybody be on Thursday night? There's no one here. Oh my goodness gracious. What is this? No one here. You gotta be kidding me. It's ridiculous. Where is everybody? Where is everybody? Hey, go. Where you guys go? Wait, hey, go. Dude, you gotta go.
It's Thursday night. It's karaoke night.
No, you guys are gonna miss out.
So, Malcolm, you do know that energy savers last 6 times longer than ordinary light bulbs.
This isn't my room. It's Baron Davis's.
Baron Davis, the basketball player? This is his room?
Yep.
Interesting, because we have Baron Davis right here. Baron, do you live here?
No.
I don't mean that, Baron Davis.
Millions of kids are using their energy wisely. What's your excuse?
The Hollywood View is back with a brand new season and a brand new look. Join me for non-stop Hollywood coverage news right here on WTOP 10 every Tuesday at 10:30 p.m.
Everyone has friends. There's online friends. Friends to go out with on a Saturday night. Friends to hang out with and do nothing. friends who show up on moving day. And then there are the friends who'll be there if someone is dealing with a mental illness. Are you one of those friends?
You're watching WTOP TV 10, Oswego, New York. I'm Naked Cowboy.
I got no pulse, so losing.
He's in BFIB.
Shocking. Is it real over time? Just had a few drinks. This can't be happening.
Are we clear?
Clear. We're just buzzed. Just buzzed. You didn't tell us that, sir. You're right. This isn't happening. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I feel good.
Really? No, not really.
Buzz driving. Maybe we should stop acting like it's no big deal.
Shocking.
Welcome back to the playing field. We're in the final stretch of our show, but before we say goodnight, we have one more story for you guys, and then the 2-minute drill. So all baseball fans are familiar with the standard strike zone, the width of the plate from side to side, and from about the midsection to the knees from top to bottom. Well, two new ideas have come to light about how the strike zone should be changed, and they're completely opposite. A couple days ago, famed sports writer Frank DeFord said on National Public Radio that the MLB should make the home plate smaller, which therefore would make the strike zone smaller. Then on the other hand, St. Louis Cardinals ace Adam Wainwright says the game is too slow and expanding the strike zone would speed up the game. So I ask you, whose side are you on?
Well, the MLB cannot do anything else to make this game even slower. Now with the 2 challenges that managers have, this game is going to be at least another 20 to 25 minutes longer than normal. You really can't, you got to leave it. There's no solution here that's going to make the game better, not only from a fan's interest standpoint, but also from a gamesmanship standpoint. The MLB should not even touch this. And they won't.
No, they
Let's
won't, but
realize
you
that.
know what? If I have to pick a side on this for the sake of argument here, as you try to fly right down the middle, I would have to agree with Wainwright that it's a better idea to widen it. You know, you talk about wanting to shorten up these games, that's the instant solution. Granted, it may hurt strikeouts, but instead of having a smaller strike zone where guys are more prone to watching, you're going to have guys swinging your first, second pitch. There's going to be more opportunities. So you know what? I like the move.
You don't want 2-1 games. People want to see 6-5, 7-4, and that's going to not let that
You
happen.
do, but you want 6-5, and it takes 4.5 hours to get there.
True.
Those are Yankees-Red Sox games that take forever.
Oh,
All right, let's
goodness.
finish up with the 2-minute drill. All right, Twins prospect Sano out for the year with an elbow injury. Big blow?
And if the Twins were a good team, I would say it's a big blow. But you know what? At this point, it's one piece of the puzzle. If you're a baseball team relying on one prospect, you're in rough shape as is.
Minnesota's not going anywhere this year. Get healthy, then come back next year.
All right, Saints use franchise tag on tight end Jimmy Graham. Bad sign for the 2 long term?
It might be, but Jimmy Graham might not be a New Orleans Saint after all. A team can sign him, but they'd have to give up 2 first-round picks. No one's going to do that. I just think the contract extension stalled. They'll use a franchise tag next year, and then they'll lock him up long-term next year.
I've seen it happen in Buffalo with Jarris Bird. They've had that issue, and now they've offered to make him the highest paid safety in the league. You know what? If the guys earn their money, you pay them. And I think that this is a desperation move by the Saints. It's just a quick fix to patch things over. It's not good. I don't think the franchise tag ever comes with a good connotation, so I don't really like the move that much. Well, yeah, you get him for 1 more year at least.
All right, Knicks guard Raymond Felton still in the lineup after being charged with illegal possession of gun. Okay with Woodson's decision to let him play.
What's going on in New York? I mean, you're down 37-16 to the Chicago Bulls, who have what scorer? Joakim Noah passes out 14 assists today. The Knicks are done, and they're going nowhere for a long time. It doesn't even make sense to fire Woodson now because they're not going anywhere.
No, and you know what? I don't like the move, but I can understand why Woodson would choose to let him play. You let all of this work itself out in the legal manner. You work with him in the courts. You don't bring it onto the basketball court. He is still a basketball player. He is still as good of a basketball player as he was the day before. You let him play the game, and you know what? You let all the legal stuff take care of itself outside.
He's not a good basketball player, that's for sure.
All right, so guys, any last-minute thoughts?
Well, I got a minute here. We talked about it way back early in the show.
Yeah.
Ryan Miller was an outstanding goaltender for the Buffalo Sabres.
He's reminiscing right now.
I am. I'm having my trip down memory lane.
We'll make it a
540
quick
games,
trip.
284 wins, 14,847 saves. As a Buffalo Sabres fan, thank you to Ryan Miller for everything he's done.
Phoenix Suns, Goran Dragic should have been an All-Star 40 against Minnesota on ESPN a couple nights ago.
All right.
All right, guys, that is it for you guys watching The Playing Field. I'm Alicia Dario. Dan, I'm Matt Stone. We'll be here next.